Hi guys, welcome back to my vlog. The baby's asleep, so we're gonna see if we can get through this since this is gonna be a shorter one. I know in the last vlog we talked about, I talked about that we're gonna talk a little bit about Alejandro's surgery, the post-op, how that experience was. But I was thinking, I was like, I don't really want to make like two very like heartfelt Pilar crying vlogs in a row, okay? So we're gonna do a quick like life update vlog, and then I'm gonna give you guys the options in the comments, and I'm also gonna put a little question box on my Instagram story so you guys can vote or send me some suggestions of what you want to see on the next vlog, okay? That's gonna be at the end of this video. So I do have a lot of crazy life updates. One that you guys clearly don't know, I'm a mom. No, I'm kidding. But we have a lot of different things going on, okay? So first things first, I think this is like the stuff that people have been asking me about the most is about the business, right? The Healthy Hive. So if you're a new follower, I owned a smoothie shop called the Healthy Hive, where we serve like protein smoothies, energy teas, pre-workouts, all that great stuff. And I actually ended up selling my business. So I know a lot of you guys have been asking because you're not seeing my content in the store anymore. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I would say, like me and my husband started talking about how life was gonna be once we had the baby, right? And even though being a business owner gives you some kind of like more flexibility with your hours, with bringing your baby to your business, that kind of stuff, I knew that I wanted to spend quality time with my baby, you know? And in my mind, I was like, yes, I can bring him to the store, but it's not quality time, you know? It's like, it's not like I'm gonna be able to be like teaching him how to take his first steps and to talk and enjoy cuddling with him, all of that at the store, you know? So it was really waiting in my heart. And it was hard. It was a rough decision because if you've been following me for a while, you know I always been a really ambitious woman. So I felt like a lot of like my self-value was kind of like tied to how much money I made, to having a successful business, to having a title as a business owner, that kind of stuff. This is just me being vulnerable with lots of therapy and lots of conversations with my husband and God. But I think that was a really hard like transition for me in my like identity, you know, to go from somebody who prioritized like her personal goals, hitting certain goals, certain like numbers, you know. I always been like, oh, I want to make more than what I did last month, or I want to hit a new level at my business, that kind of stuff, right? Like that was like my priority, my number one priority, to be honest, for a long time. So going from that to, oh, I'm making a life, you know, I'm bringing life into this world, and like I knew that was more important, like in my subconscious mind, you know. But once it became more real that, oh my God, the baby's gonna be here in a few months, I was like, oh crap, I don't have that much more time to figure this out, you know. Man, I said this was not gonna be a heartfelt vlog, and it's already making me want to cry. Anyways, it's gonna be less heartfelt than talking about the surgery, but okay. Anyways, we made a decision together, me and my husband, to sell my business. He has his own job, he's a full-time chef. But then I had my business even before we met. I already had my business for a few years. When I sold the business, I was there for 7 years, and me and my husband were together. It's gonna be 3 years this year. So I had it for like a little over 4 years when we met. But it was really hard for me. It was hard for me to sell it, to kind of give it up, and to do that whole transition of identity, that like my main focus was not anymore my financial goals, but my main focus was raising a human being. You know, that sounds so crazy. And I always knew how important it was, you know, like with my friends that were moms or people that I knew that were moms before me. I always was like, dang, like that's gotta be the most important job in the world, you know. It's like you raising the next generation, you know. I don't know, like I would hear people being like, oh, so and so, they're like obsessed with this, and like the whole identity on social media is being a mom, and I'm like, duh, like I don't know how your identity wouldn't change, you know. I think it's the most beautiful and the most important, and probably the hardest job in the world, you know, all together, and the most rewarding, you know. So it was a big change for me. So that was like the biggest change that we had, was me letting go of my ego, you know, and understanding that motherhood was about to become the most important thing before I became a mom. Because once this baby was out here, I did, like, nobody had to tell me anything about that. I was so sure that it was what I wanted to do, that it was everything that my heart desired was to be every waking second with that baby. Like, even when he was a newborn and we were getting no sleep at all, that baby would go to sleep for a little too long, and I was like, please wake up, because I want to snuggle you. that's how obsessed I am with him. But yeah, it was hard. But we did that a few months ago now. That was like a big change. And then I've been working from home. I don't know how much I shared about that, about me working from home here, but I always had like an online business, right? Like, I used to make some money with social media full-time before the store, part-time after the store. I don't know how much I shared about this here on YouTube, but I always made some money outside of the store. Before the store, I used to do that basically full-time, because I took a little break after getting my associate's degree. And then after the store, I was doing it part-time, where I was creating content for social media, doing marketing, also selling my own products. I was also a health coach for a long, like right now it's been 10 years, almost 10 years that I started doing my job as a health coach, to where I help women like lose weight, gain muscle, help them with like health programs, all of that. So I had a couple different side hustles, mainly towards the social media part. You know, I created content around that to make that type of money. And then I'm also a UGC creator, which just means user generated content, okay? Where I create content for brands. So I have the brands that I work with on my social media that I post content for them, but I also have brands that I just create content for their products or their services, and they buy the content and they use that content, okay? So that's pretty much what I used to do. And then this last year, I think I also added a little bit of like Amazon. So I work with like Amazon sellers and make content for their products that just goes on Amazon page. So a little bit of everything, okay? So I did that very, very part-time for the last 2 or 3 years. And then once I sold the store, I started having more time to do that. So those were like the biggest changes, you know? And once I finally sold the store and I was like at home, it was hard, because I think sometimes I would still like go back to that mindset of just like, I want to make more money and I want to do all of this, blah, blah, blah. And then I would feel guilty if I wasn't spending too much time with my baby. Or not that I wasn't spending too much time with him, but that I wasn't spending quality time with him. You know, for like a few weeks, I felt like I was like just putting him on the stroller so I could get the chores done. And by the time the chores were done, it was time to feed him. And then by the time that he woke up, I already had so much other things to do with my job online that I was just putting him on the chair beside me. And I was like, what is the point of me working from home if I'm still not spending quality time with him? So we had to switch that up, okay? So now we have a really good routine. I do a lot of stuff when he's asleep, like right now, I'm recording this vlog. But I mostly do stuff around the house, send proposals for brands, talk to brands, that kind of stuff, while he's asleep. And then once a week, usually my amazing mother-in-law takes care of him. And then that's usually like my recording day. That's when I get most of my real B-rolls, my like B-rolls for like my social media, like TikTok, Instagram, all of that, and record multiple videos for like brands. Sometimes I get to record 5, sometimes I record 30. So it depends on like how complex they are. So that's kind of like the big life changes that we had in this last few months, because I know last year I was doing the vlogs kind of like weekly, so you guys got to see a little bit of like the evolution of everything and how everything changed. So that's kind of like what my schedule looks like right now. My husband works full-time, so usually we just take turns going to the gym, and then I'm on mommy mode. We go for walks, we do everything around the house, and then I get to work just a few hours a day, which has been amazing. And I'm so thankful that God has given us the opportunity to be able to do that. And also my husband's a really hard worker, and I am so grateful for you, baby. Love you. I'm so grateful that he like is able to like provide for us, to allow me to make this a priority for our family, you know. I'm pretty sure this was like on our first real date. We kind of talked about, you know, if I was open to being like a stay-at-home mom, and I was like, yes, you know. But like I knew, I guess it's just like right now I think I'm turning 30 this year. I lose count of my age, okay? I don't know if it's the mom brain. I'm very bad with dates and ages, that kind of stuff. And like maybe my other girls, they're from the 90s, like you also relate to this, but it's weird. Like I'm turning 30, but I feel like I was 18 like 3 or 4 years ago. Life just goes by fast. So I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but it was just so fast. I felt like I went from being a full-time entrepreneur and like just working crazy 12 to 14 hours a day. Like I had crazy work hours. My friends, like from like my single years, like not single years, I don't know how long I was single for before I met my husband, but like that season where I was single for like a little while, I think it was 2 years, something like that. Anyways, no, I was busting my butt. I was working crazy, like 12 to 14 hours a day. Like I was working so much that we would plan to like go out dancing, for example, and I would work up to the point that my friends would get to my house and everybody would be ready, and I was there like working real quick right before we go. That's how much I was working. So I was definitely a workaholic, and I had like almost like an addiction to like hitting new goals and hitting new milestones. So it was, like I said, it was very hard like to change my identity around motherhood. So if you're a mom or if you're planning to become a mom, I'd love to know a little bit of your experience with that in the comments. Like if you're not a mom yet, do you plan on being a stay-at-home mom? Do you plan to work from home? Do you feel like that's going to be something hard for you? Or if you are already a mom, did you struggle with having that shift, of like going from full like business mode and, boss babe mode, whatever they call it nowadays. That made me feel really old saying that. But anyways, going from like boss babe mode to like motherhood, it's so different. It's different. And I love it. I don't really know how to put this into words. It's like being a mom is by far like the hardest job I ever had. Mind you, like I said, I used to work like 80, I don't know, I think it was like an average of 80 hours a week. It was insane. It was a lot. Being a mom is by far the most tiring and the hardest job I ever had. And at the same time, it's the most rewarding thing ever. It doesn't matter how tired I am. Once my baby looks at me and smiles, it's magical. Like, I know people say this all the time, like until you live it, it's so crazy. It's so magical. Like there is no goal that I ever hit in my professional life. There is no accomplishment that I ever had personally that made me feel as good as when my baby looks at me and he smiles. That's when I see him happy and healthy. So it's definitely a confirmation, I feel like, from God that I've been living in my purpose, like I think for a long time my purpose was the business, was what I was doing, because I didn't feel like I was wrong for working that hard. I felt like at the same point that I was really focused on making money and all of those things, it was also the place where I got to talk about God. It was the place that I got to make so many friendships today that like some girls from my store, I feel like they're like sisters to me, It was like an environment that allowed me to grow a lot. Like I felt like I aged like 20 years in that business, not maybe in a bad way sometimes because I was really stressed, but also in a good way. Like I learned to manage money better. I learned marketing. I learned how to deal with people, customer service, hiring, everything. Patience. I developed a lot of patience in that business. And still by far being a mom, hardest job ever. And the most rewarding. Like I'm so happy. Like right now, okay, don't get me wrong, like I'm already gonna say this for the moms to be, or if you're already a mom, I struggle. I'm not gonna talk a lot about this because I feel like this deserves its own vlog, but I struggle a lot with postpartum depression right away. Also, my baby was in the NICU for like a few weeks, so it wasn't like a normal, I don't think it was a normal postpartum depression. I don't know if there is such thing as a normal postpartum depression. I'm a little bit crazy today. But baby woke up. But anyways, now I am happy, and now I gotta go get him before I finish this vlog. So I'll show you guys the cutie pie. And look at this, like, stop it. The most adorable thing in the world, clearly. But anyways, as I was saying, yes, by far the most rewarding job in the world. There's nothing that I'd rather be doing. I can't even think of one thing. My papa. Yes. Anyways, guys, so like I said, that's been our biggest changes. We also got into a new house. We were living in Clearwater for a long time, so we moved a little bit away towards Oldsmar because we were in apartments. And this little guy's toys, strollers, everything took over our 2-bedroom apartment, so we needed something bigger. And we've been really enjoying the area. It's really nice. Lots of green areas, lots of parks for us to go on walks and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, those have been our biggest like life updates, life changes. And trying to think, I think that's pretty much it, right? And he's been getting cuter by the day. That's another life update as well. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to hear me talking about on the next vlog. I don't know if we have many moms that dealt with like NICU, that kind of stuff. If you guys want to hear more about Alejandro's beautiful story and his surgery and his post-op, his recovery, or if you want to hear more more like life updates, more like day in the life, that kind of stuff, or if you guys want to hear more about like how I make money from home as a stay-at-home mom, like more like different types of opportunities on making money from home, I don't know. Let me know what you guys want to hear about on the comments, or you can also send me a DM on Instagram. I know most of you guys come from my Instagram, so you're more than welcome to send me a DM on Instagram. And if you're following me here and you don't have me on Instagram, my Instagram is pilarferraz_. Okay, so you guys can follow me there too. But anyways, thanks for watching. Say bye, guys. Say bye. See you guys later. We're gonna go cuddle now. Yes. Bye, guys.